Hi y'all, thanks so much for stopping back by. If this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Lori Livers and I'm glad to have you. Over the last couple of weeks, I have received tons of questions about my real estate investing adventure. And so I thought this morning I'd just take advantage of our beautiful January weather in the Texas Gulf Coast area and sit down and answer some of those questions. So let's get right to it. So one of the questions I get a lot, in fact, it's one of my most common questions, is about what challenges did you face when you decided to get started investing in real estate? And that is a fantastic question. So my first challenge when I decided to get started in real estate investing was learning about the tools that are available to help people who just don't have a ton of cash to get started. I grew up in a very financially challenged family and in a very financially distressed area. And so knowing that these tools are out there to help people get started in their real estate investing is not common knowledge in those kinds of areas. So the biggest challenge for me at first was figuring out how to use those financial tools once I found out that those financial tools even existed, because I didn't even know they existed. But once I found out how they existed, I was challenged in trying to figure out how they work and how I could use them in a way that makes sense to start on my investing adventure. And then my second biggest challenge in getting started was trying to figure out what makes a good property a good property. Trying to figure out how to find those properties, and I have videos all about how to find those properties, and I'll link one of them here for you to check it out, because you get excited when you're a beginner investor and you decide this is what I'm going to do, and I have all my financial tools lined up and I'm ready to go, and you're like, boom, I'm an investor, I am in it to win it. And then you start looking at all these properties and you think every deal is a good deal until you really start getting to running the numbers and find out that almost every deal is not a good deal. In fact, good deals are much more rare than you would think. Good deals are to be had everywhere, but they're harder to find than you would think. So those were my two biggest challenges in getting started in my real estate investing adventures were, one, figuring out how to use the financial tools that are available to me, and two, finding properties. So another question I get a lot is about hard money. And I get asked often, were you afraid of using hard money when you first got started? And the answer to that was yes. I was absolutely terrified of starting with a hard money loan. Because I had never been through the process before, and it sounds scary and a lot of things could go wrong. But if you do the right things right and you take your time and you don't jump into something that doesn't make sense, it's not likely to go wrong. It's just something that you have to be aware of. You have to be willing to take that risk, and you have to know how to mitigate that risk as much as possible. So yes, I was absolutely afraid of getting started with a hard money loan on my very first property. But once I worked through my first one and kind of got all those fears out of the way, I wasn't afraid anymore. Hard money is scary when you first get started, but the fear wears off real quick once you understand how it works. So another question I got a couple of times during the holidays is, why did you choose buy and hold real estate over other types of investments? And the answer to that is pretty simple. I was looking for recurring income. In flips, you make the money when you sell the house one time. If you become a real estate agent, you get paid every time a house is sold, whether you're helping the buyer or the seller. I was looking for that monthly recurring income. So once I decided that real estate was going to be my chosen investment, like this is what I'm going to do, then I had to figure out how I was going to use it to create that monthly recurring income, because I want to make that long-term money in the long-term appreciation of the house. I want to make that short-term money in the forced appreciation of a property. But more importantly, for me, my priority was cash flow, month after month after month. I was completely over trading time for money. Even though I loved the people I worked with, I was bored out of my mind, and I needed cash flow on a month-to-month basis to leave that boredom behind. So that's how I chose buy and hold real estate rental properties for my investment of choice. The second reason that I chose to get into real estate is because historically real estate always appreciates over time, which means that as a long-term investment, inflation is not likely to devalue my properties. So you can leave all your money sitting in the bank, but your cash is not going to grow at the same rate as inflation. So over time, that cash is going to be worth less and less and less, and what you're going to be able to buy is less and less and less with that same dollar. But in real estate, your value grows along with inflation. So while real estate is not an absolute 100% slam dunk, it's a pretty safe bet for a lot of different reasons. And that's why when you look at the portfolio of some of the most financially successful people of our time, you'll see they're very heavily invested in real estate. So if the Warren Buffetts of the world have figured out how to make it work for them, I was pretty confident that I could follow a lot of the same footsteps and figure out how to make it work for me. So that's how I got into buy and hold rental properties. That's how I decided that was the real estate investment for me. Another question that I got a couple of times over the holidays is, what does the average day look like for a real estate investor? And there's no black or white answer for that, because I think the average day for any real estate investor varies dramatically from one investor to the other. For instance, I am not someone that is out there looking for my own deals. I am not farming my own deals. I have a team of realtors and wholesalers that bring deals to me, and then I can either accept them or I can pass on them and move on. So those people are out farming deals on a day-to-day basis. That's not me. So on a day-to-day basis, there's really not much to being a real estate investor once you have your property rehabbed and rented. At that point, it becomes really, really passive, which leaves me the time to chase all the other things I'm interested in. Because I am a serial entrepreneur, it leaves me the time to chase all those other things that I'm interested in. So another question I get really often is about why I chose the BRRRR strategy to build my portfolio. And the reason I chose the BRRRR strategy is because I didn't have a ton of cash to work with when I got started. And the BRRRR strategy allows me to take advantage of the money I create in these houses and use it over and over and over and over to continue to build my portfolio. So that appealed to me, and that's why I went with it. I did it on my first house, and I made all my mistakes on my first house, and I have a video about that. I'll link it here because I made some mistakes in my first house. You should totally check that out. But I went on to use the BRRRR strategy again in my second house and my third house, and so on and so on and so on. And so I'm really comfortable with the strategy. I'm very happy with it. I know some people have some challenges with it, and there's no problem with that. If it doesn't work for you, or if you think it's not going to be a sound strategy for you to follow, then hey, don't follow it. You do you. Do it however you want to. It worked for me, and it's worked really, really well for me. And so I want to share that with other people. But if it doesn't work for you, no harm, no foul. Move on. Do what does work for you. You don't have to do it the same way I did it, and I don't have to do things the same way you do it. We can both be completely successful and do things two different ways. So one of the most important questions I received over the last couple of weeks, and I think the most interesting question I received, is about success. And the question specifically reads, is there a formula to your success? And I thought that was such an interesting question. One, because success means something different to so many different people. For a lot of people, success is tangible things. It's the houses and the boats and the cars and the this and the that and the toys, and that's all good and fine. Don't get me wrong, the stuff doesn't suck. But for me, success was not about all the stuff. For me, success was being able to do just this. Do what I want on a day-to-day basis, have the money I need to live on comfortably, and not have to trade my time for money working a job for anybody else. It's that freedom in my day that I was craving, and for me, that's what success is. For me, success is having achieved the opportunity to live the life I want to live, and not the life I thought I had to live because it was good enough, but it wasn't what I wanted. So it depends on what success means to you. But yes, I believe there's absolutely a very simple formula to achieve any kind of success you're looking for. Success is simply the sum of ambition plus work ethic. If you are ambitious and you can define what success means for you, and you have the work ethic it takes to work towards that every day, and you are born into a country that allows opportunity for everybody who is able-bodied and able-minded, then you can be successful in whatever way successful means to you. So just about anybody who is willing to take personal responsibility for the world that they live in and for the life that they've built can find success if they are ambitious and they are willing to work for it. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there who are going to disagree and say, oh, but you have to have this and you have to have that, and you have to have opportunity. No, you don't have to have all of that. Because if you have ambition and work ethic, you can go create all of that for you. I was not born into a world of opportunity. Most people are not born into a world of opportunity. So you take advantage of the things you do have, like ambition and work ethic, and you create the opportunities you need to live the life you want to live. It's really just as simple as that. Now, there's a big difference between simple and easy. It is not easy. It is not easy at all. It's like anything else. The solution, the answer is simple, but the business of making it a reality is very, very difficult. And that's when work ethic and ambition comes into play, because you have to be strong enough in your spirit, you have to be strong enough in your ambition, and you have to be strong enough in your work ethic to keep going through the tough times so that you can get to the other side. But I promise you this, you can get to the other side. So if you're not where you want to be in your life, then suck it up, buttercup, and make the changes you need to make it happen and get to where you want to go. Nobody else is responsible for making that happen for you, and you are perfectly capable of making that happen for yourself. So that's my 2 cents on success. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for hanging out for a few minutes and checking out this video. My next video I have coming up is going to be a BRRRR example where I break down all the details, start to finish, on the entire property and share all the numbers, everything, so that if you want to see a little bit about how this strategy works in real life and how I use it to continue to grow my portfolio, I hope you will subscribe to the channel and hang out from time to time. Until I see you next time, bye y'all.